There's a lots of extraneous factors which may make this difficult for DNL. But we are about to get into Champion Select and see what these teams have to offer in terms of champion picks.
One thing is for certain, though, DNL are not going to be able to counterpick in any of their games. We already said this. DNL are on the blue side. All 3 games should it go to 3. So Team Dignitas will always have either that mid or that top lane counterpick for however they want it. But there are targeted bans coming out already.
There are. Twisted Fate at Sencooks, he's been picking it up over the last couple of weeks. Irelia as well against Wicked has always been part of his champion pool. Janna aimed at Nisbet has played a bit of that, but a lot of his plays have honestly been on like the Alistar and the Freshers. And then Elise will be one of the meta considerations, as we are on 514 right now, and Elise has been tearing up all levels of play.
Yeah, really has been. If we end up seeing her today, we'll probably see why. Fizzban is a little weird in the sense that we've not seen Wonderwear play it in Challenger, not been a champion he's played, but he has been spamming quite a lot of Fizz. It's his second most played top lane champion right now in Ranked. So obviously Wicked has been playing against Wonderwear, doesn't want to have to deal with that, so bans it out. The final ban is going to be Nidalee to round it out. So DNL are kind of forced into, you know, looking down the list of where junglers fall to themselves. Do they go with the jungler to start? No, they don't.
All right, let's rock the 9% win rate. Let's pick up Victor here for DNL. Picking it early on, of course, it makes sense as a champion pick because you can pick it before the enemy mid laner is generally going to do okay into most matchups. But also going back to his bans, Elise and Nidalee are also aimed at carry because he loves his transform champions, the Elise and Elise. But the next 2 picks were taken away, Sivir and Rek'Sai from Dig. 2
solid picks at this point. Right now, with Elise banned, with Nidalee banned, you're looking likely at the Gragas Rek'Sai that we've seen just time and time again. Sivir, a very solid early pick. And again, Team Dignitas know that they can now leave their top lane till last. There's no rush to pick your top lane because you already see the enemy mid laner. Just pick everything else, wait it out, see what is available. I wonder what DNL are going to pair with this Victor at this point, because there are a lot of options available right now when you look at things. They've they will lock in the Corki and the Braum, so going for their bot lane straight away. So they're looking to go for a mix of kind of the mid... Well, no, this is all mid-game, actually, when you look at it. Victor, you got Corki as well, so... All mid-game focus from DNL. That is no surprise.
It's mid-game focus, and Woodline has been playing a bunch of Corki over the last couple of weeks. He moved away from Tristana, which was kind of interesting. He played that basically 5 games in a row, then stopped. He's now playing Corki. He's played that for like 3 and 4 games in a row. So, yeah, just going from one champion to the other. Not going to be taken away this game, so we'll be sitting on that. Now we are just waiting for the response from Dig.
So here we see what Sencooks wants to pick up here in mid lane. This would be the right time to pick it. Azir would be available, although we are on 514. Did receive nerfs with regards to the knockup. Orianna would be just kind of a lane neutralizer at this point against Victor. You're just able to clear the wave out from in front of you and have teamfight impact should they go for it. This is actually a pretty strong team when it comes to looking to set up engages. You've got the Nautilus, you've got the Sivir, now you've got the Orianna on top of it. So Team Dignitas are looking to get into the fights. We'll see how DNL can maybe stop them from getting there.
Rumble would be saying let's get into the fight, but they haven't locked it in just yet. But they have locked in the Rengar. Okay, that'll be going on to Kairi. We saw that in week 5 from Kiggers. Actually picked that one up along with Lee Sin on day 1. So we've already seen that, and the Rumble has also been locked in for Wicked, so we're going to be seeing that one as well. He's actually had a lot of diversity in what he's been picking in Challenger compared to when we've seen him in LCS.
Yeah, he has. I don't believe we've seen him really playing the Rumble, or at least they've never won with Wicked being on Rumble at this point. So it's an interesting setup here. I don't mind it. DNL are a team that are basically win in the mid-game or bust. When you look at how their gold share is throughout the game, we'll get onto that as we head through the game. Certainly they're very good at getting a lead, and now they've got a team composition that is going to be able to keep a lead and expand on it. But I quite like the Rumble. We'll see how, in fact, it plays out. And that is a Tam Kench.
It is.
Locked in.
Where is it going to be, though?
Wonderwear.
Because we have an interchangeable Nautilus and an interchangeable Tam Kench.
True. I expect it more to be top lane right now. The changes that happened on 514 were to do with Tam Kench's damage output. More damage on his Q, more % damage now on the subsequent ranks of his ultimate. Rank 1 is still the same. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the rework, well, not rework, the now buffed Tahm Kench is going to play out.
Yeah, I mean, he saw success even before the buff on 5.13. So, yeah, we'll see how that one works out. And, yeah, it looks like Wonderwear will be taking it into the top lane. So, Nautilus will be going back into the support role here up against the Braum.
This is an incredibly tanky team, though, coming out from Team Dignitas. Tahm Kench, you've got a Rek'Sai who's going to build tank, you've got a Nautilus in there, you've got Orianna shields, you've got everything that you could possibly need from that Dignitas setup. So that is, it's an interesting one. I'm also really interested to see how Wicked's going to deal with Tahm Kench. Because, I mean, Wicked is a top laner that has actually had a lot of leads in games when it comes to CS and Gold, and now he's got to rumble into Tahm Kench. Haven't seen too much of the matchup at all, so it's going to be an interesting one. But over on the side of DNL, you can see very mid-game focused team. They're relying on Kairi to get them going early on with this Rengar, but we know what happens if you don't get a Rengar rolling early on into the game. Yeah. I haven't seen Kairi play all that much Rengar just in general.
Yeah, and we haven't just seen a whole lot of Tahm Kench, so it'll be more to put into those samples and see how he does against those different champions. But remember, guys, tweet at LOL Esports and use those hashtags DEU win or DNL win. And we'll be checking in on your thoughts about who you think is going to take this game as we get into this match and the rest of the matches today.
We will. I am super hyped for this, because whichever team wins this game is at a minimum in the promotion tournament. So you win here, you at least get a shot at the LCS. You're still in for the automatic promotion spot, but certainly there is a lot to play for. Yeah,
it's the first stepping stone at least to get that automatic promotion, which is a big deal. They will be replacing Copenhagen Wolves, who are now locked into that 10th spot. So yeah, all up for grabs as we get into this. But we are now into a game. Denial Esports here on the blue side, and Team Dignitas EU in the upper right. You can see them sporting the red colors this game, and we'll see which team will come out ahead on this one. They will be jumping out of their base momentarily. Tahm Kench coming into this. We'll be going for the Doran's Ring start. Very interesting.
Very interesting, as we haven't seen a lot of Tahm Kench, to be honest. If I remember rightly, Freddy, I want to say started Flask. I may be wrong on that one. It was a good few weeks ago since we actually saw him play that in the top lane. But I know that there certainly has been a mix of different builds up in top. I haven't seen him on 5.14. That is the difference here. With the changes now, with the damage, it'll be an interesting one to see how it plays out. But I spoke briefly about something in Champion Select that I want to kind of touch on again. And that is just how good Denial are at getting leads, and gold leads early on into the game. Denial have only been behind at 10 minutes in one game. In the majority of games, they've either been ahead by a small margin or even at 10 minutes. And that's really interesting, because it kind of feels exactly how Denial plays. I mean, it's one of those weird feelings that you get while watching a team where if it gets to the later game, they start kind of dipping off, because even though they've had that many leads, they have not been able to transition every single one of those leads into a win. They've actually got a 6 out of 9 kind of win ratio from having a lead at 10 minutes.
But that makes a whole lot of sense, because this is a team who is very good at getting an early game lead. You look at these lanes, Wicked is a strong solo laner. CosQ we saw in Spring was pretty good. We were thinking maybe he had plateaued, but he's still generally doing pretty well. Woolite has always been good at getting an early and mid-game lead, even from when we saw him in the LCS. Heaver, when we saw him, was a very aggressive support. Basically all the play we've seen from him, but the problems have always come in later on into the game, where they had this early lead, but then they just kind of wander into their opponents, because they very much have this solo queue mentality of just, I've got to carry, there's 3 people there, let's see if I can take them on.
Exactly, and that's where the real disparity kind of opens up. You start looking later into the game to around that 20-minute mark, as that is a heavy trade going in favor of the Team Dignitas bot lane. You start looking at about that 20-minute mark. That is where you start seeing Denial start having more games where they're either even or behind. I mean, they've got one game where they were a lot behind, and they ended up losing that game as well. Just in general, the later the game goes, something about the decision-making of Denial just doesn't really sit as consistently as some of our other teams.
But you've got to contrast that to Team Dignitas EU, who are basically the best macro team we have in EU Challenger. Right prior to week 5.
Right.
Because Kickers joined in and then showed up and was just like, I'm just going to tell this team what to do and we're going to win. So before that point, Dignitas were extremely strong in their macro game. We even talked about it with their dragon control, with how they played out the team fights. They played the game very smart. They just went for advances when those objectives were up instead of just going, we're going to fight now. There's nothing up, but we're going to go fight.
Well, it's something we'll have to track throughout the game, as we will keep our eyes on those 10 and 20-minute markers that seem to be very good judgments of how teams are performing. But, you know, we are now a couple of minutes into this game, and you can see how these lanes are starting to settle. Despite the heavy trading early on in favor of Team Dignitas, they have traded a couple of CS away. They're about even in that bottom lane, so is mid lane. But it's top lane that I'm really interested in with this Tahm Kench and Rumble matchup. Not one we've seen all that much at all. And as you alluded to, Doran's ring start is a strange one. Man, Senkuk's will be getting a very early blue buff at this point. Well, he will do.
Hey.
Got it. And speaking of Senkuk's, we wanted to kind of look at, during those weeks 1 to 3 and 4 to 5, which one of the carries on Team Dignitas really was having the most, or I guess least impact on the team. And you can see Senkuk's stats there. Normally 9.33 KDA from weeks 1 to 3, dropped all the way to 2.64. The most interesting thing about this is Cobby had a higher KDA from that AD carry role, just under 15, and maintained a higher KDA than any other AD carry, really, week by week in Challenger Series at 6.43, even while Team Dignitas were losing.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say the bottom lane from Team Dignitas are one of the most consistent that we have here in Challenger. Nisbet is generally the one who makes the plays. Cobby doesn't usually have to make a play because Nisbet is the one to do it. We've seen so many games where Nisbet has been the one to have basically carried Dig through the early game by constantly landing those hooks, whether it be on Fresh or Nautilus. Seen some Alistair from him as well. So, yeah, that's obviously where it's coming from, Cobby, as well as being a very consistent player. Yeah,
you allude to the consistency. They actually have individually the highest KDAs of AD carry and support in the Challenger Series as well. So I feel like they're a fairly underrated bot lane when it comes to it. They're not particularly flashy, but they're always putting up the numbers. Senkuk's, however, is normally the flashy one. And in the last couple of weeks, we know he maybe didn't get as much time with the game as he would have liked, but certainly they've been boot camping now, so that is no longer going to be a factor in their play. One thing I want to kind of look at is Obvious has picked up a Sightstone very early on here, before any kind of jungle enchant or even building towards damage, mainly because he needs to find Kyrie in the early game, or at least his laners need to be able to see Kyrie in the early game to avoid Rengar getting ahead. It's kind of it's not a risky buy this early on, but it certainly is going to hinder Obvious himself with regards to if Kyrie finds him, but is going to benefit his lanes.
Yeah, and that's kind of where he has to be looking at right now. Mid lane, though, Senkuk's will be using the ultimate. Kozuki did respond already with the Chaos Storm. We'll have to flash away and use the heal away from Senkuk's. So Senkuk's gets an extra summoner out of that trade in the mid lane. Victor up against Orianna, and Orianna gets ahead. Yeah,
Orianna is never one to be underestimated once she hits that level 6.
Yeah.
As you've got to respect the shockwave damage, but that's the flash and the heal burned early on. A lot of it's to do with the fact the blue buff was given over to Senkuk's early, so Senkuk's utilizing that as best as possible. And it's another interesting one because, again, looking at how Denial get ahead, Kozuki is such a big factor as to how Denial get their leads. He's normally up at 7 CS at 10 minutes. At this point, he's behind. Bottom lane, there is a trade.
Oh, he has so much CC on top of him, but he will be flashing away, and he also came out from Walleye. It should be enough to actually keep him alive on top of those biscuits, and he will be going back and very close to death. But that's a lot of summoners burnt to try and kill him. That was an Ignite and a flash from Obvious. So actually a fairly even trade.
Fairly. At this point, though, Obvious is having more impact on the game than Kyrie has. Kyrie is kind of just farming himself up here. Kyrie even bought a pink early on. Obvious noticed that his ward gets cleared out, knows he has the time with the fact that they just sent Braum back. The bottom lane can roam up, and we know that Orianna is already ahead. So it's an easy clear. That is 100 gold just spent to clear one ward out. That is an inefficient pink ward, if ever I've seen one. All it did was clear a Sightstone ward.
Yep. Very smart out from Obvious. There we go. Heaver will be placing the one down, taking that one away.
So
we
much
need this vision.
Yeah, well, they need to get Kyrie into the lane. Senkuk's being ahead is a real big problem for Denial, as we've seen what Senkuk's can do when he gets ahead. This, however, is obviously, a real nice pickup for Heaver, finding a pink ward of his own throughout. That's a lot of early investment into the vision control from both teams to begin this one off. That's 3 or 4 pink wards already out on the map at the 8-minute mark. So some have been cleared, but Team Dignitas trying to maintain control of the vision control, but it is even.
Actually, some really nice timing by both these teams as well for when they're going for those wards, because they know that the enemy team has gone back. I don't need to go back right now, says Heaver, so he'll just wander up, he'll take away a ward from mid lane, walk back down again while Warlight comes back into lane. It's just really smart, keeping track of the opponent's timing, which we haven't seen a whole lot of from DNL, honestly. This is something I would expect from DEU, but DNL have not necessarily played the smart early games.
Not always. They've kind of played the brute force early games,
exactly.
which is we're going to get ahead in lane and then stay ahead and hope we don't fall off. But, you know, DNL, they like to kind of rely a lot on split push focus, and that is how they've maintained a lot of their leads. This time, Wicked won't really have that as an option. There is going to become a point where Rumble can't sit in front of a Tahm Kench anymore because he just, in theory, shouldn't be able to deal damage, and even when he does, Tahm Kench just hits that shield, gets all of his health back, and continues to trade. So I'm looking as to when that point is going to be. It's not for a while. Rumble still has a long time in this game to have his effect being felt. Haven't seen any kind of team fights. We're only under 10 minutes in so far, but certainly it is a matchup to keep track of.
It's like you were saying in Champion Select, though, with Wicked and his Rumble. Like, this is the first time we've seen the Rumble from him. He's typically been on the strong split pushes, the solo 1v1ers like Gnar, like Aurelia, and even Rise to some extent. This is the first time we've really seen him on a team fighter, apart from maybe the Maokai. So this is forcing him into those fights versus the split pushing. So this is actually quite a nice adaptation from DNL. It's like, well, everyone knows we're going to try and split push. Let's do something a little bit different. Let's actually join those fights and go for the 5-on-5s.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to seeing how it works out, because certainly we haven't seen too much out of DNL when it comes to the team fighting, apart from when Wicked has played Gnar. Those have been the games where he's getting himself in the mix. As, you know, DNL, they are ahead. We've just passed that 10-minute mark. This is on track with what DNL usually do. They have what we would quantify as about a small gold lead. Around even, about a small gold lead, as, in fact, now they are just even. It just ticked up, just as I was saying that. So at this point, it's not a problem for DNL, but it's also not a problem for Team Dignitas, as both junglers are mid lane looking for the counter gank. Here comes the ult from Kairi.
And he jumps right onto Senkux. He doesn't even get a chance to use his shockwave as the damage comes in from KazQ. No summoners burn over from the side of DNL. Actually, excuse me, it was both the Smite and Flash from Kairi, but nothing from KazQ. So a nice first blood coming in from DNL. Do have the teleport in from the top lane, though, in from DNL themselves. Wicked comes in with the equalizer, cutting off Nisbet's escape route, and he'll come in with the kill with the Flame Spitter.
Great equalizer and great timing on DNL. They know they can make 2 separate plays across the map. Mid lane, because obvious they'd read that he had kind of backed away from that lane, and bot lane because there was no teleport available on Wonderware. He used it to get to lane rather than using his ultimate. So that results in the first dragon of the game going over to DNL and 2 kills. So they've taken what was a small lead now and just completely blown it wide open.
Yeah, a very strong early start from DNL. Typically from what we've seen is generally how they start off their games. Taking a look at the fan vote as well, 58% over to Team Dignitas EU. Don't have the lead right now, but on a good day, if we looked at the round robin in general up against DNL, you would expect Team Dignitas to come out on top. You
would, but it's an interesting one when you look at Team Dignitas. They're actually one of the teams that are better at playing from behind in the Challenger Series. Obviously, getting a lead is a lot easier for them to close a game out, but they're actually one of the only teams to have won while playing from behind. There were 2 games, one against Overclockers and another against Ex Nihilo, where they really fell behind and ended up coming back into it, but we'll see if Obvious can get them back into this one.
Now hops over the wall. He does still have the flash, but no extra knock-up to go with it. Wicked just turns around, knows they have no more CC to lock him down, so he will get a little bit of extra damage on Obvious, make it a little bit more difficult for him to go for a future gank. So nice response by Wicked. He did have to burn the flash in the top lane, however, so it was a successful gank from Dick.
Yes. I'm kind of looking at how Obvious's early Sightstone has impacted this game, because he hasn't been able, he wasn't able to counter gank the mid lane. He backed away earlier. I don't think he was avoiding the fight, but I think it was more to do with he just didn't read that Kairi was still around the middle lane. But it has delayed his jungle enchant, because you can see that over on the other side, Kairi has already got his level 2 boots to go with it. Boots of mobility, so it's going to mean Kairi can get around the jungle into ganks faster, but he is going to be that little bit squishier because of it. So almost going all for nothing here, or all or nothing, when it comes to Warrior plus flimsy boots. But over on the other side, Cinderhulk, well on the way for Obvious, but as we said, behind. And Denial are going to have to put more focus into buying wards here, unless Kairi goes Sightstone next, which again is going to make him squishier than if he were to just build tank.
Yeah, Kairi probably doesn't want to go Sightstone right here, but yeah, may be forced to at some point. He just wants to get in there, burst the target down. That's essentially his job as a Rengar, and as soon as he's unable to do so, then he kind of becomes more of a dead weight. But right now he's got that 1 kill on him, so he is above the curve. Oh, Wonderwear spits out Wicked and keeps him in place. That slow is ridiculous, comes in with the Equalizer as well, and that's the kill going over to Wonderwear.
That was a lot of % health damage that was just done there. Between the Eat and the increased damage now, that is
a lot.
Whew. I mean, he hasn't got to that rank 2 for the increased % health damage, but certainly the Devour.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting Regurgitate to do that much damage.
No, neither was I. It just kind of popped. It was okay. But certainly, I guess there's the strength of Tahm Kench if you're against the matchup where you can get those stacks on the taste. As you can get 3 stacks and devour whoever you're in lane against. Certainly against Rumble, it's not a difficult feat to get that.
No. Yeah, kind of difficult to maintain your range over Tahm Kench. He's just going to tongue lash you, he's going to auto-attack you, and that's already 3 stacks on the Quiet Taste, so rip. But yeah, a lot of damage. Pretty strong.
The thing about Tahm Kench here is, in this scenario, where you're playing Tahm Kench in the top lane, you lose a lot of the utility that comes from Tahm Kench's ultimate for the majority of the game. You can't bring somebody with you because you're top lane. You can't go very far because you're top lane and it has a limited range. So all you can really use it for is either setting up a gank in the mid lane on your own, which is difficult because of the travel time on Tahm Kench's ultimate, or you can use it to get back to lane, which we didn't see yet from Wonderwear. He just TP'd back to lane instead. It's a tough ult to get to actually utilize it properly, but the later the game goes, the more open the game becomes. That's when we may see him pick up a carry, bring Orianna with him, turn up and Shockwave. Who knows?
It's also sometimes useful for an escape in a very niche circumstance, kind of in the same way that like a Rek'Sai ultimate is sometimes good in escaping if you can cut the vision and jump away. Actually, if you get damaged in your ultimate as Tahm Kench, you also get disrupted in the same way as a Rek'Sai ultimate, even if you just take damage.
Yeah, I actually believe you get a reduced cooldown on it if you get damaged.
I believe so. I think, again, that's the same with Rek'Sai ultimate. Oh, Senkux. I feel like I've seen this one before. This time gets off the ultimate, but the Chaos Storm is going to catch up with you, and it is going to kill you. Senkux, another kill down onto him. 0-2 and 0 in this game. Not having the best of them so far, but again, another great gank by Kairi.
Yeah, it is another good gank by Kairi, but honestly, Senkux just isn't really getting any help in this game. There's been not a lot of pressure from Obvious on this lane, and Senkux even got that flash early on, if you remember, against Cosq.
Yep.
There was no real repeat gank that came through. Obvious wasn't able to get into the lane. Cosq was playing it further back in the lane, which brought Senkux forward and made him a fairly easy flash gank with the Rengar. And the same play has happened twice now from Denial. If Team Dignitas don't start reading that, this game may snowball even faster out of their control. It's in a good spot for Denial right now, but certainly Team Dignitas still in this one.
I mean, this is exactly what we've been talking about coming into this game, is if Denial can get that early advantage, 1, and then 2, maintain that early advantage so that they don't just fall off, versus Team Dignitas, who are exceptionally good in the longer macro games. If they can outthink Denial, then that's how they come back into this game and win it.
Right, but we haven't even seen Denial start to group properly yet. We haven't really seen a team fight over Dragon, haven't seen a teleport play aside from the bottom lane one from Wicked, which was pretty much an already foregone conclusion by the time he TP'd in. Good TP, but maybe not 100% showing the strength of Denial when grouped, so now it's on Team Dignitas to avoid those fights until they're ready. They're going to need more damage on Orianna before they can even really think to fight head-on. But if they can catch somebody out fairly apart from the team, they may be able to actually take a fight here.
Yeah, I mean, Nautilus would be the perfect champion for doing so. Likewise with Rek'Sai, getting that single pick. The
with
point-and-click CC. That also helps, yes. Get in range, bonk them on the head with the staggering blow. And looking at around this river area, lots of wards have been set up by DNL, and they have set up for it, and they've completely denied their vision from Team Dignitas EU. So Hiva and Kyrie should be able to take this one away. Even Warlight comes in for the fun. So this will be the second Dragon going over to DNL with 0 contest from Dignitas.
And that's a little bit worrying, because it's on track with what we saw from Team Dignitas in weeks 4 and 5. If you remember, as Obvious goes in, can't get onto Cosq at this point. Kyrie's going to ult. Obvious is already on his way out of the lane.
Well, third time not lucky. He will be dropping there. Obvious just walks into lane and goes right into the gravity field. The ultimate comes on top of him as well from downtown in from Wicked, who just decided to roam to mid lane. And that's another 2 fast kills over to DNL.
This is 3 set plays so far from DNL that have worked fantastically. Easy ganks onto mid lane all day long. Senkux, without his flash, starts moving up to get the engage, and Obvious just bails. There's nothing that Senkux can do about that play, and DNL does a reading Dignitas perfectly at this point.
Yeah, these are such perfect ultimates from Kyrie as well. The timing is basically flawless. Wonderwear comes in and I mean, I'm not entirely sure what he was expecting from that in terms of outcomes, but Wicked will be taking away this top ward as well. It's been a lot of pink wards dying this game. Lots of income has been flying away into the ether. Wicked has found Wonderwear, but it's just his lane opponent. They're going to be exchanging ease.
This Tahm Kench hasn't done much yet is the problem. I mean, I'm not expecting great things yet out of the Tahm Kench, but he's about even on CS. Rumble has been way more active on the map.
Yeah.
We've not seen Wonderwear even use his ultimate yet. We're 19, 20 minutes into the game now. No ultimates coming from the Team Dignitas top laner because, as I said, there's just no real utility to use it from. Senkux has died too fast for either a teleport or an ultimate to actually do anything.
Yep.
So unless Wonderwear can actually make himself useful later into the team fights, which is difficult, at best, trying to run towards people and get the stacks. I don't know. We spoke to Freddy about Tahm Kench on the LCS, and you know he was saying how difficult it is in team fights. Sure, you're tanky, but you got to run after people, hit the tongue lash, get the auto attacks down, and then you become useful. Very difficult to do.
Yeah, 3 stacks is actually very difficult to get onto a target, especially as your melee range. He doesn't even have extra range compared to other melee champions. Actually, no, he has 200 range. That's actually more than most. So,
right, but
interesting.
But in a team fight, when people are kiting back, speaking of kiting back, Senkux is already running for his life as soon as he even senses that something's up. I'm just going to stay at the safety of my mid tower, guys. Just
in a mid turret.
Yeah, true. That mid tower did go down after the last gank. So the focus has been very clear from DNL. Is just take Senkux out of the equation, which, you know, has worked for teams against Team Dignitas. I just hope that they don't underestimate the ability for Cobby maybe to start carrying this game, but Hiva has been a little bit caught out here.
Yeah, he is tanking a lot of damage though, and he still has the flash. He'll be jumping over the wall, but the Boomerang Blade takes him out, and that triggers a very fast cancel on the TP from Wicked. Didn't want any of that after his ally died, and everyone will dissipate back to their lanes. Yeah,
the teleport even was coming through from Wonderwear as well, so Team Dignitas were prepared for a full-on fight over the blue buff area there in their jungle, but both TPs were cancelled. Now is the time where Team Dignitas can utilize the Tahm Kench, because they have, in essence, teleport advantage, in the sense that Tahm Kench can get to a lane, Rumble has to walk. Tahm Kench can now ult his way into mid lane if they can look to set it up. It's a small window of time, only until the teleport becomes available from Wicked, so it's easily timed by both teams, but it's on Team Dignitas to actually get it to work, but DNL, they don't even care about that advantage. They're just going to take turrets around the map.
But it's still a semi-global. It's not a I can go anywhere on the map ult, so he still has to kind of walk towards the lane, a bit like a Twisted Fate.
Yeah,
so
it's
a little bit telegraphed.
And then he uses it to get back to lane.
Alley-oop.
That's an interesting one.
I need them.
I mean, I don't think it's a... I haven't seen enough Tahm Kench to know how useful it is to gank behind a lane, but it certainly seems like a better use than using it to just get a couple of farm and save a top tower, because you know DNL are just about to rotate their bottom lane to top lane anyway. So unless you're looking for a 3-man push onto the turret, which it does look like Team Dignitas are doing, which, by the way, they're not quite going to be able to do, because look at Rengar, look at Corki, and Braum, and Victor. 5 people from DNL all heading to this top lane, and they can read this because Kobe's in the bottom lane. This is actually going to backfire on Dignitas if they don't get the heck out of there.
The flash from Wicked will be getting the CC down onto Wonderwear. Kyrie as well jumps out from the shadows onto Obvious, but it's Wonderwear they want. Hello, Thick Skin! I've got all my health back, and I'm still dead. Rest in peace, Tam Kench. The rest of Dignitas have reacted. At least Senkux in the bottom lane. Cubby is going to get this turret, though. He does get that trade. So unless DNL can actually get a turret up there, the net gain has actually been from Dignitas here.
Well, DNL will push this turret down. This is what they were looking to do. In fact, they're going to bail away, as Orianna did appear in the top lane. So ultimately, DNL were looking to make the play where they bring their bottom lane up to the top lane. So the net gain, as you said, is to Team Dignitas over that play, but in general they are still behind on turrets. I like the play out of DNL, grouping top lane. They had enough vision control with regards to their wards to spot Team Dignitas coming from the mid lane. So it's a very easy read out of DNL. Honestly, like, DNL haven't particularly done anything special this game, but they've just been doing the basics very well when it comes to actually when it comes to making your plays around the map. They've been grouping in the areas where they should be, making plays in the areas where they should be, and just capitalizing on seeing Team Dignitas on the map. Yeah,
that was actually a really well thought out play. That one ward in the tri-bush you see up there actually spotted out Nisbet, so yeah, nice 3-man push. I raise you a 5-man push, says DNL. We'll be taking away that ward at the Dragon, as you can see there, and the Dragon will be going down very, very quickly. This Triforce and Blade of the Ruin King has been completed by Warlight, so we'll be chunking through the Dragon. And that's the 3rd one now going over to DNL, with Dignitas not responding with those Dragons at all. Top turret did fall while that was happening, so have evened those up, but they need to start thinking about those Dragons, which they were so good at securing in the first couple of weeks.
A big problem right now is Team Dignitas are rushing to try and buy a lot of magic resist, but over on the other side, you can see that already got the Liandry's Torment completed onto Rumble. We've already started to see, well, we've got a Void Staff onto CosQ as well, so it's problematic for Team Dignitas that the magic penetration is coming out at an equal time to the magic resist that Team Dignitas are building. So it means that their tanky setup is not quite ahead of the curve. And it's going to make for some tough team fights, especially when you consider, as Tam Kench gets the blue buff, especially when you consider that DNL should be grouping here.
This pick could be very good for Dignitas, though. Or maybe a Senkux who just got picked. Obvious comes in to get the knockoff on Zakire, zones him out of the fight, but Nisbet was also going to fall. Wonderwear looking for that thick skin, but it's only going to last for a couple more seconds. He just swallowed Kyrie and spit him back out, but this time it's not enough damage as Warlight goes ham into the back lines, finds himself the double, a 5-for-1 in that exchange, and what looked like a fantastic pick from Dig gets converted into the Baron.
Absolutely no way that Team Dignitas could have taken that fight. You look at the items that just were completed, the Blade of the Ruin King onto Corki, the needlessly large rod with the Liandry's on Rumble, and you group on a team that you don't have full vision of that are around that area anyway. That is almost suicidal by Team Dignitas at that point. That was not a fight that they should be looking to take at any point, especially not while they're that far behind.
We're going to see that one again and see the setup to that. So Senkux does land the perfect ult there onto the CosQ.
The problem is, look at how far Team Dignitas go aggressive into this fight. They don't see anybody from DNL that they hadn't already seen at the blue buff on the map at all. So there's no way of reading that exactly where DNL are on the map. And you can see that Team Dignitas just aren't tanky enough for this, even with the thick skin. This is the 2nd team fight in a row that DNL have just not cared about thick skin and just gone straight through it again. That is a real big bad sign for
big bad wolf, big bad Tam
for Team Dignitas. Yeah, no wolves in this game.
No work.
But Rengar certainly has made his presence felt as the cat in this game.
Yep. Oh. Not going to get the ward this time. Dignitas, small victories, 30 gold in the bank for Senkux. But also in that last team fight, Cobby was completely cut out away from that fight. And Wonderware just got chunked by 50% there. It's actually harder to see with Tamkench actually how much damage he takes as he gets the grey health. But yeah, that was a lot of damage. Very quickly, Senkux again gets caught in the middle lane. Will pull them closer to himself using the shockwave, trying to get some extra damage in from Cobby. He was actually ticking down from the flame spitter there from Wicked. And will have to back off himself. So another death onto Senkux, 0 and 5. This is possibly the worst scoreline we've seen so far from Senkux.
I mean, realistically, how many times has that same play got to happen before it stops happening?
I don't think there's an end to that number.
That's got to be the 4th time in this game where Senkux has stepped forward, Rengar goes, sweet, jumps on him, just locks him down in place, and then Victor ults him and just, well, doesn't even ult him that time, just blew him up.
I mean, it happened in the last team fight as well, so you can actually move that number to 5. I mean,
it's not rocket science. It's difficult not to get caught by the Rengar when he's ulting, but at the same time, if you know Rengar is around, could be around, you've got to play a little bit safer than Senkux has been playing in this game. And a lot of it is to do with, in the early game, he didn't get a lot of help with regards to maintaining vision control. There was a lot of focus from DNL with the pink wards early on, clearing the vision around mid, and they've maintained control of the vision for the most part for the rest of this game. So DNL have had a very clear game plan, and Team Dignitas just have not adapted to it.
Yeah, DNL have executed the snowball very well in this game and have not let it slip just yet. I don't want to be negative, I don't want to say there's still time, but we have seen it before from DNL where they get a strong early lead and just kind of squander it from individual misplays. But so far, this is extremely convincing.
Yeah.
We've actually seen a couple games like this before, where Obvious this time is actually getting caught out, has to burrow away to safety behind his team and to sanctuary of his own base. Nisbet has to flash away as well, as Kyrie will be jumping on top of him. A good ultimate in from Senkux. If he was only a little bit more fed, that could have been devastating on top of Denial. And I don't even think it's enough to dissuade them from carrying on pushing. Cobby and Senkux are pushing down in the bottom lane. Heaver and Kozq potentially caught out here as Wonderware does come in with the ultimate, comes in with the regurgitate and spits him back out, picks up the kill. The rest of the team of Denial are now reacting in from the mid lane. Good equalizer splits off Wonderware from the rest of his teammates. There's the fixed skin, will be swallowing up Wicked and spits him out as well. Takes up the kill. Warlight now trying to get the kill onto Senkux, gets him with the auto as he jukes into the bush. Now Wonderware trying to run away from this engage and may indeed get it. Kyrie is on his tail. Good read from the tongue lash. Will be jumping into this bush, turning around, trying to get those stacks built up. A very fast fixed skin, gets the swallow. How much damage is it going to do? Not enough. Kyrie will turn around and take him out.
Very split up, very messy fight coming out from Team Dignitas. They knew they had to try and get something going, but hopefully we'll catch a replay of it and you'll see exactly what turns this fight on its head, because it was Cobby getting absolutely destroyed by Kozq in this fight, and it's something we've seen time and time again from Kozq just in general in the Denial games. He has been probably the most solid player we've seen from him. Here we'll take another look. This is the kind of setup that Team Dignitas are looking for. Kozq's already low. At this point, Wonderware should be able to just take him out, but look at the damage. How can Cobby do anything against that? They didn't quite catch with a spell shield at that point whether Cobby actually spell shielded anything, but Denial re-engage. It's a super simple re-engage from this point. Sure, Wonderware was dealing a lot of damage at the end. At this point, Wonderware knows this is a lost fight. And he just kind of has to back away and try and kill Kyrie, but it was never going to happen at that point. But Denial right now have got so much time before Team Dignitas could ever think of getting back into this game. For Team Dignitas to get tanky enough to be able to survive these fights and get enough damage onto Cobby to end up winning the fights, it would take another 25-30 minutes to actually reach that point. And that would be a gargantuan task for Team Dignitas. At this point, Denial have such a demanding lead. With 4 dragons in the bag as well, Baron coming up in 1 minute 50. This is nearing game 1 in the books, but they're going to try and simplify. Look at how split this is, though. Wicked just runs away.
Yeah, the team is... Okay, this is a lot of ultimates being exchanged for a potential kill onto Wicked, and he just exchanges one flash, and he's away from the 5-man engage on top of him. What was used there? Obvious's ultimate, Wonderware's ultimate, Cobby's ultimate, Nisbet's ultimate. for a flash.
And you can see how the setup for Tahm Kench is difficult to actually execute. You get the warning, first of all, that somebody's coming.
He didn't get the warning for getting caught out here, though. He'll be turning around, gets the Devour, and spits him back out, but the team is there to finish him off. Senkuk jumps over the wall. Obvious is going to do the same, and Kyrie is jumping onto Nisbet. He's not a very tanky Nautilus, but at least he has the tower there to give him some sanctuary away from Denial. But this is a 5-man push coming in on top of Obvious, and he has to just run.
And that is an inhibitor falling in favor of Denial. So, I mean, they got the early lead. They maintained it through 20 minutes, as we've seen of them, but doesn't look like they're going to let it go anytime soon. They've had better vision control. They've had better team fighting. They've made a lot of just set plays. Just looking at teleport plays, which are very, I don't want to say easy to construct, because it just takes prior planning, but the actual execution is fairly simple to do. You look at the teleport play from Rumble to begin this game off as one of the first bloods. All it relies on is just that ward aim behind the bottom lane. Yeah. And that's the kind of play that Denial has made time and time again. It's very simple, well-constructed, easy you know, plays across the map. And it's got Denial ahead, and they've just stayed ahead.
Denial have made very few mistakes this game as well. Generally, when they've made a play, it's been, if not flawless, very close to being. Even the response in the mid lane, when it looked like Cosq was caught, the response was instant from Denial, and they went 5 for 1.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't really get too much better than that, other than the 5 and 0. But in a situation like that, I mean, Denial just played all these scenarios basically perfectly. And Dignitas EU honestly just have to be thinking towards the next couple games. This is still a best of 3. There's still a lot of room to really start thinking about this game. That promoted minion is doing work. It's taking a long time for Tahm Kench to kill it.
Oh dear. It's a bit tough for Tahm Kench to devour at that point. But, you know, I was speaking to Senkux earlier about the last couple of weeks of games. And he was saying that, you know, okay, the game's just kind of snowballed away from us from early kills, and that's exactly what's happened in this game. And if that's been now a problem in 3 consecutive games, Wicked now is going to face the wrath of a later game, Tahm Kench. We're going to find out exactly how much damage he can do.
Well, he got the Devour, he got the Regurgitate, and now his target's kind of running away from him, and there's not much Tahm can do. We'll be popping the Fixed Skin right about now, but Carry can just really wait it out as it dissipates very quickly. It's going to eat him as well. He's gonna die. And in the mid lane, the rest of the team is going to be engaging. Obvious jumps on top of Cosq. They get that 1 kill, so overall on the map, it's a 1 for 1. But Warlight is still here. Nisbet has to turn around. He gets the dredge line. Kobe is dishing out the damage. But if Senkux was there as well, they would have been able to pick up that kill, but it doesn't quite work. Now there's the flank in from Cairo, jumps in from the bush, actually has the extended range on that one. Wicked comes in with the Flame Spitter, will be chasing down Obvious. He has to flash away from Senkux and Kobe, but now Wicked, the front line, is still here, and the Flame Spitter is chewing through the health bars of the carries. That's a 4-for-1 overall, as Obvious is the only member surviving from Dignitas, and he can't even try for this Baron attempt.
Every time Team Dignitas try and make a play from Denial being out of position in some sense, Denial just reposition. They had 2 people down in the bottom lane that were just kind of preoccupied by Wonderwear. Opens up the ability for that mid lane kill onto Cosq, but even without Cosq, all they needed was then the teleport coming in from Wicked, from behind. Kyrie getting to the fight in mid lane, and Team Dignitas are just too far behind to be taking fights like that. It was a nice setup. I like the attempt to actually try and get a play out on the map. They're just so far behind. There was just very little way of getting more than just that single kill. Now they're up against the Baron buffed up Denial at this point, and the 5th dragon is coming up as well, and Nisbet is about to be caught, and he's gone. Got
caught, died very quickly. Bang, and the Nautilus is gone. 21-6 in this game. 4-0. Baron over to Denial. 7-2 in terms of turrets. Almost a 16,000 gold lead. I don't think anything else could have gone the way of Denial this game. And Dignitas EU, they're still making smart plays, but they're plays that would only work if they weren't so far behind.
In the sense that they're trying to do something on the map, which is like, okay, we see Cosq, he's slightly out of position with the fact that his bottom lane, in bottom lane there are 2 people. Wonderwear is playing hide and seek right now. We've gone from musical chairs on Denial to hide and seek on Team Dignitas, and he is going to get away from this, but...
Well, it's 5th Dragon stress.
Yeah, they've got to try and get a pick, but I don't think they're going to get one because all of DNL are grouped and they have the vision control.
And they have the movement speed from the Rift Scuttler's Shrine. Kairi jumps in for the engage, and Senkos again is just blown up. So is obvious. Nisbet and Wonderwear are just scattered to the wind. They have to just try and get away and survive from this one. Wicked will jump over the wall, make sure that not even the River King can get away through his natural habitat. He's going to try and waddle his way to victory, but I think he's pretty dead. The gravity field comes down. He gets stunned up. He can't even pop the thick skin, and that's a 4-4-0 in this game. Cobby is the only man left remaining, and Dignitas have to start thinking towards the next couple games.
Yeah, they certainly will. They're going to have to figure out exactly what went wrong, and it was just the snowball from mid lane, from the ganks from Kairi, just were not answered in this game at all from Dignitas, and it just went completely out of their control. This is going to be the win here for DNL.
Yeah, that was a brutal snowball coming in from DNL. That's game 1 and it's best of 3 going over to DNL eSports.
Game 1 is the key factor on that. Still 2 chances available if Team Dignitas can sort out their issues in that game. But there just seemed to be no assistance mid lane. Yep. I mean, it's difficult to predict a Rengar flash gank with his ultimate. I'm not gonna lie. That takes a lot of warding, and DNL denied the warding from Team Dignitas. Even though, remember, that was first item Sightstone coming out from Obvious. There was just so little that could be done in that setup without Senkos. I guess he was out of position a little bit pushing up, but certainly tough ganks to read.
Yeah, I mean, once the first couple of ganks come down from a Rengar, it doesn't really matter where you stand in mid lane,
right.
He's going to give you. And Obvious was doing the right thing in the early game. We actually saw it from everyone. Everyone was fighting over vision to try and deny those early plays from Rengar, and we saw, like, basically up until the level 6 time, okay, Rengar's not going to gank a whole lot, and Obvious was able to do so as Rek'Sai, but we just didn't see enough.
Right.
They were doing the right things, but it wasn't enough from Dignitas. And is it the case of just banning Rengar, or are there other problems deeper below the surface?
Because if you ban Rengar, you have to either drop Elise or Nidalee.
Yeah. And
that's dangerous because both of them are Kairei's top champions. Now we can see that Rengar is alongside that. But it wasn't just the solo picks in the mid lane. There was actually that fight, if you remember, that Team Dignitas tried to go aggressive with. We're actually going to take another look at that fight. It was about 25 minutes in, and this was the fight that realistically DNL kind of just started smashing Team Dignitas at this point. So when we roll this out, this is where they Team Dignitas try and go aggressive onto Cosq. Because they've just fought over blue buff. You can see it just on the minimap there. They get Cosq, which is great, but... Oh, they don't get Cosq, actually.
They thought they did.
They thought they did, but the damage from Cosq is just insane to begin this one out. And you can see this is before Team Dignitas had any sense of tankiness. Obvious and Wonderwear kind of just melt in front, even with the extra shield. I mean, that was the kind of the tipping point when it comes to Team Dignitas not being able to take any kind of head-on fight. And, you know, it was a mid-game composition coming out of DNL. They played it in the mid-game. They utilized their spikes well when it came to item spikes, damage spikes.
Yep. Can't
really complain at what DNL did in that game.
No, and they were repping the 9% win rate on Victor, so that's no longer 9%.
It's gone up. It's now 2 and 11.
Not bad.
Or 2 and 10, I think.
Something like that. 2 and 10. Anyway, we're game 1 down. We need to take a quick break, but we'll be back in 3.5. Stay tuned.